What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast here on thescenesnobs.com, home to plenty of other podcasts and video reviews and articles and everything else. So please get your fix on everything that you could want to and more at thescenesnobs.com. We have a lot of shows coming up in the new year, but we want to celebrate because the year is ending, the year 2019, and not just the year, but the decade is ending. So there's so much going on right now. And I kind of wanted to do a year in review episode and just talk about some of my favorite and worst things that were happening this year in wrestling. So here we go. I have my list down here right now. I just kind of want to recap. So last week we had no AEW. We did not have a Dynamite show last week. They took the Christmas day off. But we did get a pretty good NXT episode, and that was pretty solid NXT work. That was probably the best show of last week, honestly. Raw was okay. It was a Christmas episode, but they're still going along with the storylines. There's not much else going on. Storylines are kind of weak at the moment, in my opinion. And then you had SmackDown, which was just wasn't bad. It was okay. It was better than it's been, but that's below middle of the road, honestly, in my opinion. So it was kind of a weak week for wrestling. A week. So with that being said, we are here. It is the end of the year, and we're getting New Year 2020 starting up, like I said. So I just kind of want to go over a list of some of my favorite things from the past year, and anything that I'm open for discussion. I want to hear what everybody else has to think with anything I say. So make sure you're messaging me or commenting. Before we get started, if you could, just give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. That would be fantastic. Also, give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at The Scene Snob. You get more news and updates that way. You get also like the Scene Snobs Facebook page, and I'm always answering comments and questions and things like that. Lots of people reach through Facebook to ask me to review things. So and I'll review old shows, things like that. So it would definitely be a lot of fun. We got some fun stuff coming up. I want to start doing pay-per-view panels, pre-show pay-per-view panels, and get some people in here and definitely talk about things and our predictions and stuff like that. So, and I'll be coming back with more prediction shows, especially for Royal Rumble coming up. So we'll see how it goes. And it's WrestleMania season starting soon, so it should be exciting, to say the least. But with that being said, let's get started. So I'm starting off, I want to go over the best pay-per-view of the year. And now I'm kind of tied. It's kind of tied, and here's my reason. I think the best pay-per-view of the year is Wrestle Kingdom 13. But one that has to tie it is WrestleMania. Now, the reason I say this is because Wrestle Kingdom was just filled with great, finishes, storylines, great matches all around. The Ospreay match versus Ibushi. But the king of it all was Omega versus Tanahashi. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn between it, but if I'm going to edge one out, I would probably say WrestleMania was the best pay-per-view. Now listen to me. Here's why. So we had 3 title changes at WrestleMania last year. We had Rollins beating Brock. We had Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Heavyweight Championship, and we had 2 belts Becky Lynch, the man, winning against Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, which I didn't. It's very weird to see 3 championships change hands in a single pay-per-view, let alone WrestleMania. And we did. And they were all solid matches. I mean, and it was the first women's main event on a pay-per-view, especially being WrestleMania. That's huge. That is huge. And I think that wins it. And plus the pageantry that comes with WrestleMania. I know a lot of people, complain about the fluff and things like that. But no, I mean, when Vince goes all out, he especially goes all out for WrestleMania. And it is gorgeous. And that's why, for me, it's probably the best pay-per-view of this past year. So you get your pageantry, but you got 3 title changes. Count them, 3. Now, they've all been sullied in that sense. All of those wins. Well, no, maybe not. Becky 2 belts went on for a while, and that was awesome. Her story is suffering lately, but that's no fault of her own. It's just because they keep teaming her up in tag teams, and I just don't think they know what to do with her at the moment. But it's going to ramp back up, I think, with WrestleMania coming up. My prediction there being, I think Ronda's going to come back, and there's going to be a grudge match going on. But we'll see. I don't know if they'll main event again, because they did main event Survivor Series, and it was sort of a poor match, which was no fault of Becky Lynch at all. So I wouldn't mind seeing her main event. She's the best champion out there right now. She's great in promos. She's holding it up, not just holding up women's wrestling, but wrestling right now in a whole. I'd love to see her against Shayna Baszler would be cool. And I don't really care about Ronda Rousey. Not as a person. I mean, I think she's pretty cool, and her gimmick wasn't too bad in WWE, but I just don't think she was great on the mic, and she failed in that way. And there's kind of a lot of botches going on, and there was a botch even in that match. And it was kind of crazy, but I don't know. It's kind of like when Brock Lesnar come back. She left. Okay, bring her back, have a quick match, whatever. I don't care about Brock coming back. Who is the WWE champion right now? Which boggles my mind. He hasn't been seen since Crown Jewel. It's disgusting and ridiculous. I hate it, and I think that's what they're going to do with Ronda Rousey too. And I hate that. Give the performers, the day in and day out guys and girls who are suffering and going through emotions and living the life, they should be the champions. And these big names, fine, bring them back for some matches. You want to bring back Brock Lesnar as the new, now, hear me out, not the new Undertaker, but the new WrestleMania mainstay, like the Undertaker for so many years. If you want to bring him back and do that every year, and once a year he comes back, I'm fine with it. I am. And then just set up somebody young, so then that way they kind of take over. But with that being said, I'm tired of Brock matches, and I'm tired of 2-minute matches. Like, his last match was 2 minutes long, and the one where he won the belt on SmackDown was 7 seconds. It's utterly ridiculous, and it's a disgrace to a title that used to hold a lot of prestige. Now, not as much as the NWA belt, which went to WCW and then came over to WWE and then kind of gotten tucked away. But we need so much more, and I don't want to see Ronda Rousey even become that. Like, fine, bring her back every once in a while, put some dream matches together. I'm fine with that. That'd be great. But let Becky lead the way Becky should be leading. She should be champion for a long time. She should be doing her promos for a long time. She should be getting set up matches with people like Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley. There's Charlotte. As much as we've seen it, like, you can get some good matches out of Charlotte and Becky because they're both great performers. So, but with that being said, that's WrestleMania is this year's best pay-per-view, in my opinion. Is my favorite, I should say. Now, the worst being Crown Jewel. That whole thing was a debacle anyway. But the worst being Crown Jewel. We had a 2-minute match for Brock, starting out. It was ridiculous. And everything after was just abysmal. Nothing ever good comes out of when they go to Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, they just don't. They don't put on good matches. It's just fluff pieces. I'd almost prefer them to be dark matches. I prefer, if they're going to do that, go ahead and do that. Don't even put them up on a pay-per-view if you're just gonna like ruin storylines and do whatever else. It's the worst. All of the matches, all of the pay-per-views that were in Saudi Arabia are probably on the bottom of the barrel, but Crown Jewel takes the cake, man. That was terrible. So best faction of the new year. Best new faction, I should say. Man, I like Undisputed Era. I do. I think they're a really cool faction. But I have to give it to the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is just awesome. The Inner Circle, led by Jericho, is beautiful. And I hope it goes on for a long time. I really do. And then I just want a turn on Jericho. I think Jericho getting turned on by the Inner Circle down the line, and I'm talking a while. Let it go on for a while. But eventually Jericho getting turned on the Inner Circle, and that's where he gets his babyface turn in AEW, would be beautiful. That's just me, though. That's just what I'd love to see. The worst faction is anybody crewing up with Baron Corbin. Everything they do. I heard a lot of praise for, like, oh, it's great heel work. You know, especially CM Punk said it, but it was great heel work when they poured the dog food on Roman Reigns. Yeah, I agree. And it would have been even more awesome if these factions didn't suck. You know, they're all interchangeable. It always has somebody new. Right now, it's okay. It was Ziggler, because Ziggler's a good heel. He's one of the best heels. But then they lost Robert Roode. They had the Revival, but now the Revival is becoming a joke, and I can't wait to see what they do when they get out, and if they go to AEW. I hope they do, because I think that AEW knows how to take tag teams and make them successful. And they already had success in NXT, so I'd love to see more from them. But yeah, anybody that teams up with Baron Corbin and his little stable is just awful. Best match of the year. And it's not a tie, but I do want a honorable mention of women's War Games this year. I had Takeover War Games. That was a solid match. That was really awesome. The men's was too, but the women's that was one of the best this year. But again, that's an honorable mention. It's Wrestle Kingdom 13, Omega versus Tanahashi. It's a 40-minute match. It was amazing. And it brought their storyline, like everything that was boiling over, it brought it to a good end, because Omega was getting ready to leave, and that's just where it was going. And to me, that was the best match of the year. Worst match of the year. Rollins versus The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. Do I need to say any more? Should I turn the lights red? I wish I had a red cloth to throw them on the lights. And then you know what I mean. I don't even want to go over the match. Anybody who saw that knows it's the worst match of the year. Best storyline of the year. Again, these are all my opinions. Now, these are what I like. This is what I think. So let me know what you think, too. I love the dialogue. Rhodes versus Rhodes. Cody versus Dustin. Beautiful. It was sad. I'd go with most, like, that's the best storyline. That's my favorite storyline of the year, because it came to a beautiful end. Really loved it. It was played up real nicely. It was a good feud to start off with their first pay-per-view, Double or Nothing. So that was in my opinion the best storyline of the year. Close second would probably be Cody Rhodes and Jericho, because they cultivated that for a while, and they had it so tense for a while. But then sometimes, like when it went on maybe a little too long, because it was August, and then you had a month of they didn't have their show on yet, and then October started, and they started to pull it together. But then it was like another month of going through it. But I think that was it was still solid storytelling. But Dustin versus Cody and how it ended, and the emotional angle of it all was fantastic. Worst storyline, I'm not even going to talk about it, but I love you, Rusev Day forever, is Rusev, Lana, and Lashley. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so disgusting. I can't stand it. I heard a lot of people complain about, how can AEW be doing matches with, all of these excessive violent matches? And but I don't really. I just hear people like, oh yeah, the Lana storyline, the Lana Rusev, Bobby Lashley storyline is stupid. Like that's the stuff we don't need in wrestling, in my opinion. That's the stuff that in the Attitude Era, that didn't even make the Attitude Era great. All the other storylines going on did. That was just stuff that was provocative, that kind of drew people in, or kept these fans that were kids in the 80s, now teenagers, that kind of kept them in. The Val Venus stuff and the Godfather and so much more. And like, TNA every week. So that was the stuff that kind of kept, and I was 17, 18, 19, 20, like around that time. So if you were going to keep me into wrestling and you get provocative in that way, that's fine. But, you've gotten into a PG era. Now, I don't mind if you get a little more violent in your wrestling, because that's what wrestling is. I do mind if you get that provocative with it, and it's terribly written. The whole thing just doesn't make sense, and it's kind of stupid. So to me, that was the worst storyline. I think I spent enough time talking about that. Best promo of the year, MJF, his heel turn promo. It was the first Dynamite back after Full Gear, when he turned on Cody. This guy is going to be one of the best on a mic of all time. Down the line, no doubt in my mind. This guy's 23, I think. And he's one of the best mic men I've ever seen. He won it. And there are so many. I mean, Jericho put out so many. Cody put out some great ones. There are some fantastic ones in WWE. I would argue that Kofi's promos when he was on the hunt for right before WrestleMania, before he won the belt, those were solid promos. There was plenty. I mean, there's so many to choose from, and that's just WWE and AEW I'm talking about. You got Impact, you got everything else, like and New Japan, the whole nine, and there's so many that are just fantastic. But I wouldn't have to say that MJF's heel turn promo on that Dynamite episode right after Full Gear was just perfect, and he is so good. I can't wait to see where he goes. Worst promo, there were quite a few. Dana Brooke had some bad ones this year, especially in the Ronda Rousey. It was early on. Just kind of filler for Ronda Rousey. Yeah, I mean, Lana's have been terrible. Lashley's have been terrible. Just during this whole storyline. Nothing fantastic. Nothing really. And then when I say worst promos, it's just duds. It's just they just weren't that good. Best return. All right. Best return. What that means to me is the legends that come back, and in what type of fashion. And to me, this one is my favorite return. And it's because it was so unexpected, but it was also a kind of an answer to weeks earlier and what happened to him, which I'll get to. So, Bret Hart giving the AEW, showing the AEW Heavyweight Championship. When it hit and he walked down that ramp and he showed the belt. Now, he was only on there for a little bit, and you also had DDP there, which was awesome. But DDP has come back. So, like, what, when I say return, I mean, it was just, it was good to see him. Very close with Stone Cold coming back for Raw back in June. And also The Rock coming back for SmackDown's first episode, because that was a great promo. If it wasn't The Rock, who has served great promos, and much better promos than even that one, he probably would have gotten best promo, because it was just fantastic. But MJF deserves it. He's the working man right now. The Rock is just coming back and just doing something that he has been a legend at for years. So, but Bret Hart coming back is my favorite return, because it was so surprising. And the reason I say that is because what I have down for biggest botch of the year is the Hall of Fame, where Bret Hart got tackled. And now, of course, we know why it was a botch, because security sucked, and that should have never happened in a million years, and it did. So for that to happen a few weeks before him introducing the AEW Heavyweight Championship, it was just um that's why it's like my favorite return. Like, this guy came out and was like, you know what, if I'm getting tackled over here and they can't keep me safe over here. And that may not have been of his motivation, but that's what it sort of came off as. And in my opinion, it was great to see him accepting of AEW and coming out there and showing some support, especially after getting in the Hall of Fame. You don't see a lot of guys do that. You don't see a lot of guys cross the line anywhere, older guys especially, from WWE. And that was Bret Hart. And the reason why I think there was such a great return is because he's always been, I don't need WWE to survive. Things are fine now. We can go. Maybe I can come back every once in a while and do Vince a solid. But, he showed that this new show, I'm here to support. And that was awesome. And I didn't need him to come back. I don't need him to do anything in the ring or anything like that. So that's why his best return. And that's my biggest botch. Worst return of Legends this year for me was the Hogan Flair team. The Hogan Flair coming back, and it was during the month of October leading up to Crown Jewel. They're just off their game, and they were forced to be out there a little too much. And I think that, as much as they are two of the greatest of all time, like, they are GOATs. They are on the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. They were just not that solid in their return and their promos and everything else. So, nothing bad about them, but I think they were being used, just to sell tickets and Crown Jewel, or get more money out of Crown Jewel or whatever else. But that it just wasn't that great, in my opinion. Best show of the year. Finishing out, NXT. That is special. I love how strong they've become. I want to say Dynamite. I really do. And Dynamite is a very close second, almost as close as all their ratings, their ratings chases have been. But AEW, after the new year, needs to come back strong. And I think they will. I think they very much will. I think they'll get their stuff together, and they will. We have Bash at the Beach coming up. Jericho's Cruise coming up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But we have NXT has stepped up. And since the invasion angle from before Survivor Series, then Survivor Series, and how good that was, and well done that was, and then so on, they have not dropped in pace, and they've been doing fantastic. And I think that's a kudos to, of course, Triple H, who one day may take over Raw. We got XFL coming up. I'd like to see him take over more over in Raw and everything else, and fix it up, and SmackDown, and really fix things up. But, with that being said, the worst show of 2019 is SmackDown. I have not seen an above average episode of SmackDown. I've seen okay episodes. I've seen average episodes of SmackDown, especially since they started on Fox all year. And SmackDown has just been average or below average the entire time. Well, that's why it's earned the worst show, in my opinion. And they need to step it up. I just signed over with Fox. Impact is stepping up. New Japan has always just been great. And I'd love to see them step up more into the limelight. Because if they really had a show, they can contend, in my opinion. If they ever decide to cross promote with AEW, it's over. And you have NWA Power. You have a lot of different things coming up, and they're building up on shows. So, if we can really get some stuff out there, it would be good. But SmackDown needs to step it up. All right, I promise I'm coming towards the end. I know I'm a little over my time, but best performer. I'll end it in a couple more, but I'll end it here. Best performer. This is a tie. And I'll explain why. Is Becky Lynch and Kenny Omega. Now, I know a lot of people are probably saying, is it Becky Lynch and Kenny Omega? Is it a best performer male and best performer female? No. I took all females and males into account and put them up against each other. And here's why it's a tie. What Becky Lynch is doing for WWE, she's holding it. She's holding it up. She is the face of WWE. She is the thing that nobody else thought. She is the, like, after John Cena, it was a push for Roman Reigns. Then it was kind of a push for Seth Rollins. He stabbed his own self in the back on that one, or shot himself in the foot, I should say. Then it was all these different things, and then, like, out of nowhere, you have Becky Lynch step up, and she became the face. And I don't even know why Roman Reigns was on the cover of the video game of WWE 2K20. She deserved that solo, but I think that was a man-woman thing. Like, that's speculation, though, and I don't even want to really get into that. But she is holding it down. She's the man. She is the man. She is the face. She's holding it together in WWE. She's the biggest thing in that company, in my opinion. As well she should be. It's well deserved. She's great on promos. I would love to see more. I wish they would do cross matches because, man, she'd tear it up. But Kenny Omega, he's the best. He's Will Ospreay, don't get me wrong. He's an honorable mention. But Kenny is a main eventer, highlight. Will Ospreay is probably one of the best, performers. Now, when I say performers, is all around. Kenny's great on the mic. Kenny's great wrestler. He's had some of the best matches of all time. This year is some of his best matches. Are you kidding me? Him versus Tanahashi. Him versus that was last year. Him versus Jon Moxley. How many more? Like, he's teaming up with the Bucks. Everything. So, which, by the way, are in my opinion, no, I'm sorry, SCU I have right down as my most promising tag team from this year. They're just fantastic, and I love them. Very close with Lucha Brothers. Of course, the Young Bucks are the best in the world, but right now, 2019, I gotta give it to SCU. But going back, I'm sorry, I digress. Kenny Omega is the best, He and Becky Lynch are tied for this, in my opinion. They're the best performers out right now. And I think that's well deserved for him. And now, that being said, there's a million worse tag teams that I can put together. But I don't even want to go there because I respect tag teams too much. So even the bad ones, I kind of, I would... Part of me wants to say Becky and Charlotte. They're just not a very good team. They're not very good at working together, and they don't belong together. They're solo acts, and it just bums me out to see them getting put together. So now, for my first ever Immortal Legend Award. So let me explain this to you. I am going to every year pick out an Immortal Legend and award them with this. And now it means nothing. I don't have a prize for you. If you would like a prize, I'll give it to you. Give it to the winner. But I doubt he even watches. So really doesn't matter. So, but this goes to the true legends that are still wrestling today. I'm not giving it to the guys who are retired and, maybe they come back for a match every here and there, but like, I'm talking about the guys and girls who truly have elevated this business onto new heights, who are legends, just future Hall of Famers, or if not Hall of Famers already, but are still wrestling to this day. And this one, of course, goes to Mr. Chris Jericho. My God, I'm probably the best mic man in the business. He can cut a promo that's just beautiful. And he's truly in my opinion, one of the best. He's been around for so long. And he's done so much for WCW, WWE, now AEW, and so much more. New Japan. This guy's career spans so much, and he's done so many, he's had so many influential matches, and he's cut so many influential promos and everything else. He deserves Hall of Fame status right now, and I hope they stick to it, and he definitely gets it one day. But for me, for the Scene Snobs 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast, first ever Immortal Legend Award goes to Mr. Chris Jericho. You are the best, my friend. If you hit me up, I will make you an award. I don't care. It will be awesome. But other than that, please, if anybody has to argue with that, don't argue with that award, because you can't, because he's one of the best of all time. But if you want to argue with anything else I said, or you just want to give me some of your insights, I would definitely love to hear them. But that is where I'm at right now. That is my year in review of wrestling, the first ever. So thank you for watching this year. I just started this up in October, and I'm keeping it going, and I hope you guys like it. I'm going to be bringing in some people to kind of co-host do guest mic spots with me. I'm going to be getting some panels together. I'm really excited about it. So if you're really into it, or you want to see more reviews, prediction shows, panels, things like that, let me know, because I would love to do that. So until next year, this has been the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast. Again, follow us at The Scene Snob on Instagram, Twitter, The Scene Snobs page on Facebook, and like and subscribe here on YouTube. And go to thescenesnobs.com. We have lots of shows, and we have even more coming out. So I'd love to hear back from you. All right, thanks a lot, guys, and stay groovy.